Very pleased to welcome back to the In the Money airwaves a man whose work you've been reading over at inthemoneypodcast.com. And he's going to be part of a new show we're cooking up with Breeders' Cup. You'll be hearing about that in due time. What you're going to hear about today is an under-the-radar horse in this year's Kentucky Derby called West Saratoga. And to tell us about him, we have Jackson Muniz. Jackson, how are things?
I'm doing good, Pete. Happy to be here.
Let's talk about this horse and where he came from. First and foremost, for the uninitiated, who is West Saratoga?
Yeah, so West Saratoga, last year he was more of a one-turn horse. He did have a grade 6 win at Churchill Downs last year, which is a positive for him. He has a win over the surface, which not a lot of horses in this year's field can say that. This year he's at an okay Derby prep season. He ran fine in some 7 furlong prep. They stretched him out into the Sam F. Davis, where he ran okay. He was up close to the pace, which was pretty fast that day, but he was no match for Not This Time. He kind of faded. He faded to third. He was beaten 6 lengths, I think it was. Last time out in the Jeff Ruby, he needed to improve that day. He did improve, to his credit, and I thought he ran a lot better than the form line might suggest. He was wide on both turns. The pace was fast, and he was close to it throughout. He was the first one to make a move that day, and the pace completely collapsed. And everyone that was forward early was finished in the back half of the field. Everyone that was in the back half of the field, finished in the front. So I do want to give him bonus points for that race. I think it's better than it looks. I think he got a 110 time form US figure, which is not great, but it's not quite as bad as the 85 buyer might indicate. I think the time form's usually a little more accurate in the synthetic races. My biggest issue with that race is the form hasn't been great. The runbacks haven't been good. Lucky Jeremy did no running in the Lexington. Seize the Gray did no running in the Bluegrass. And Woodcourt was favored yesterday in the Illinois Derby, and he was well beaten. So even though the Jeff Ruby has weirdly been a strong prep race the last couple of years, I'm not quite sure if this year's edition is going to be as good.
Good points all. And that trip angle you mentioned, that's always one I like to highlight because I think it can be very, very productive. When you're the horse that makes the move in the race that falls apart, the great Andy Beyer called it the MIHP, or the move into the hot pace, that can really be something that you can bet those horses back in certain spots. Of course, when you're moving up in class like this and switching surface out of a race that hasn't produced good form, maybe less so. But there are a couple elements of this horse I did want to pause on. One is the fact, as you said, horse for course angle. That's something that can yield dividends. The other is the experience this horse has with 10 runs. Do you think that might be to his benefit in a challenge like this?
Of course. I mean, if you're comparing him to a horse like, Just a Touch, who's making only his 4th start, I'd be much more confident in West Saratoga's ability to overcome some, any adversity, which it's the Derby. They're going to have some trouble at some point. It's just going to happen. My biggest issue is I don't think he wants any part of Mile and Quarter. Just watching his races, he's exactly what I look for in a horse that's cutting back. He's making a move into the fast pace, going wide. If he's running the Pat Mile, I'd be very interested in betting him. But obviously, I don't blame him at all for running in the Derby. I would do the exact same thing. But maybe look for him down the line in a race like the Amsterdam or the Allen Jerkins this summer at Saratoga.
You've tipped your hand to the next question, which is he any kind of serious contender? Will he be on any of your tickets on the first Saturday in May if he runs in this race?
Yeah. I might, if I play some supers, I might have him in the 4th spot. I do think he's tactical enough to maybe work out the right trip if he can maybe get the Mandolin trip, or he just get the pocket trip and save every inch of ground and hope for the best in the stretch. But I just don't see him as a win contender in this year's Derby.
These mini pods are brought to you by Free Reign Coffee Company. They've been powering the In the Money team throughout the Triple Crown prep season, and the coffee is fantastic. Whether you're looking for whole beans, grounds, or pods, Free Reign give you what you need to get up and get after it. And they've got subscriptions available too, so you never run out. Use our promo code MONEY20 for a 20% discount site-wide over at freereigncoffee.com. During Kentucky Derby week, you can get $10 money back if your win selection runs second or third. For all the information, check out twinspires.com. Let's take a minute while we have you, Jackson, and ask about the field as a whole. Horses like this, who you can kind of make a case for, squint if you see it. Some years they're much more appealing than others, probably depending on how much you respect those at the top of the market. What do you think we're going to see from Fierceness in Sierra Leone? Will the winner come from that group of 2, or can we cast a wider net?
I'm a lot higher on Fierceness than I am on Sierra Leone. I'm not a huge Sierra Leone guy. He's going to be, if he's the same price as Fierceness, he's gonna be 15th, 18th, 20th early. Like he's gonna have so much trouble. Or he could possibly have a lot of traffic trouble. I don't see how they can be the same price in this race. I'm gonna be tossing Sierra Leone completely and using Fierceness on top and hoping to get some bombers underneath. Probably Honor Marie, maybe a little bit Mystic Dan. Catching Freedom's not going to be a huge price, but those are probably the three I'm interested in for underneath of Fierceness on top.
Jackson, really appreciate you coming on, giving your thoughts on West Saratoga. Maybe not so much for the Derby, but they probably are going to run there. You got to figure he's got the points. But boy, maybe down the line as a cutback, one to put in your horse tracker. If you are tracking our content for the Kentucky Derby, want to make sure that you subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell. We've got so many videos coming down the pike. We don't want you to miss any of them. And Jackson, we'll be back bugging you again. I'd like to say maybe even offering an opportunity. We are having this tie-in with the Preakness Future Wager, and as a thank you for participating in the videos, when the field is drawn for the Preakness Future Wager, I'll reach out to you and we'll make a bet on your behalf. So start thinking not just about the first Saturday in May, but the third Saturday in May in this Preakness Future video, and we'll be back at you real soon, my friend.
Sounds good, Pete. Thanks.